In the flashy world of the NBA, many players find themselves surrounded by beautiful women, often drawn to their fame and fortune. But unfortunately, this can lead to some tough lessons about love and money, with recent trends of women getting BBLs to players dropping hundreds of thousands to working girls. These NBA stars truly have felt the pressures of the financial mousetraps. Today, we're looking at NBA players who tragically lost their fortunes to women they thought they could trust. Allen Iverson earned over $200 million from the NBA and various sponsorships. He wasn't just your regular good player, he was the kind of player who commanded the court. Back when he played, his aura was enough to make his opponents question whether they could guard him.
Out high, the step around, lifter, Iverson leaping out of his uniform to jam it home with left hand. A great read by Allen for the tip jam. Coming through with the answer for that air ball by Jericho.
Despite the huge income he gained, his financial standing today is nothing to write home about. Iverson didn't only lose money due to poor decisions or careless spending. Most of the money he lost went into his romantic fantasies. People know Iverson for his generosity toward women. We're talking about extravagant vacations, expensive jewelry, and designer clothing. He willingly gave them all to various women. But what drained his wealth wasn't just gifts. He allegedly paid millions in court settlements, legal expenses, and alimony. His lawyers must have had the time of their lives. He paid a significant amount in alimony when he divorced his longtime wife, Tawana Turner. It seems the Hakimi method didn't exist back then. This raises the question, does too much money put you in a trap where you feel the need to make the people around you happy? For Iverson, the answer is certainly yes. His millions put him in that difficult trap. The pressure to maintain a certain lifestyle and keep up appearances can be overwhelming, and unfortunately it led to significant financial struggles for him. Antoine lost $108 million. And by this number, we don't mean he spent it all on just one girl. That's not possible. He had a supercar, an exotic item fetish, and that alone was draining.
So what would be an example of something that you did at that younger age that you look back on now and say you just can't believe you spent the money doing that?
I would say a lot of exotic cars, jewelry that I did. I had a car fetish when I was very young. I had 5 or 6 different cars, but I had the most expensive cars.
He then added to his problems when his eyes began to move from one woman to another. Antoine was quite unwise in his spending habits. Well, what do you expect from someone who basically has a rags to riches story? Basketball brought him out of the slums. Looking back at Antoine's career, it's quite obvious he was destined for great heights. Not only did he have the physique of a basketball player, but he also had the skills to match. Standing at 6 feet 7 inches, from the moment he stepped onto the court to the moment he left, he was a force to be reckoned with. He had all the qualities needed for the perfect basketball player. He was huge, skillful, and athletic. His ball handling, though, deserves a separate video. He was that good at it. As the years passed, Walker established himself as one of the major faces of the NBA. Back in 2002, his hard work was brought to full light when he led the Boston Celtics to the Eastern Conference Finals. This match alone became the cornerstone of his popularity. From there, things only got better. His plays, his lifestyle, everything. We all know success gives one a thirst for the lavish, and Walker wasn't one to shy away from it. He fully embraced the luxurious lifestyle, purchasing everything from flashy jewelry to huge mansions. Despite his lavish lifestyle, Walker remembered his roots. He remembered who made him and who supported him on his journey, and he rewarded them for that. Generous as he was, some even regarded him as an open ATM. Walker was indeed doing well for himself. Unfortunately for him, the disease that strikes most men, no matter how strong they claim to be, finally caught up with him. He found a beautiful woman, Evelyn Lozada. He and Lozada were together for a whopping 10 years. Now that's a long period of time. It's quite surprising they didn't end up married. Their relationship lasted from 1998 to 2008, and it didn't end on good terms. Their lavish lifestyle while they were still together was dependent on Walker's income, which added more weight to the already heavy load he carried on his shoulders. When asked in an interview once, he said what brought him to ruin was trying to be like Diddy and Jay-Z. What he didn't understand was that the way money came in for those rappers wasn't the same way money came in for him. Indeed, Walker's lavish spending and gambling habits played a significant role in his financial downfall. The final blow was dealt to him by the Great Recession. Walker had a vision, so he dove into the world of real estate, establishing his own firm with ambitious plans for construction projects. But when the financial crisis hit from 2007 to 2009, the banks quickly demanded their money back, which put him in a tough spot. Walker needed to pay the banks, and he had no more money. Desperate for funds, he made the painful decision to sell one of his championship rings. Him going as far as selling his championship ring just shows how much he had fallen from grace. Scotty Pippen was once one of the richest players in the NBA.
Cleared by Grant. Again, the Bulls throw it to Pippen, and he scooped it in. What a total great play. Beautifully off the glass and in. A nice pass from Michael. Scotty turns it in right in the lane. Bulls back on the break. Pippen on the drive. Spins it off to Horace Grant. He lays it in and draws the foul. Scotty Pippen, a 360 behind the back pass.
He had an excellent career, winning 6 championships with the Chicago Bulls. He was a marvel both on and off the court, but his lifestyle off the court ultimately cost him a huge fortune. Pippen has had several divorces, which are directly linked to multiple alimony payments. The most notable divorce was with his wife, Larsa Pippen. It's no secret that divorce is in no way cheap. Not only did he have to pay alimony, but he also had to cover legal bills and settlements. The divorce wasn't finalized until December 2021, so it's quite obvious he spent a lot of money on legal fees. Another factor that siphoned off his cash was the lifestyle he had to maintain personally, as well as the extravagant lifestyles of his relationships. To keep the various women he dated or married happy, he often spent a fortune on mansions, luxury cars, and other lavish items. With each breakup and each purchase, his funds plummeted, and he eventually lost all he had. That's the shocking fall from grace of NBA superstar Scottie Pippen. Larry Johnson is another NBA superstar who went from nothing to something, making over $60 million during his career. Saying Larry Johnson was infatuated with women is an understatement. His infatuation led him to have 4 baby mamas and 5 children. One could say he used his hands, or maybe his eyes, to create his own problems. Let's talk about his path to success through basketball. His basketball journey began in high school, where he showcased exceptional skills. He was so skilled that he became a member of the 1987 McDonald's High School All-American team. This McDonald's All-American recognition paved the way for his college career, where he played for Odessa College in Texas. Without a doubt, he put in the work on the court and was in no way a lazy player. During his time at Odessa, he averaged 22.3 points per game as a freshman, and in his sophomore year, he broke all boundaries, averaging over 29 points per game. His jaw-dropping achievements earned him the National Junior College Athletic Association Division Winter Player of the Year award for 2 consecutive years, making him one of the very first to achieve this feat.
I mean, fine. He posed no threat to me. He knows what I think about him, which is nothing.
Fast forward to 1991, when he was selected as the first overall pick by the Charlotte Hornets in the NBA draft.
With the first pick in the 1991 NBA draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Larry Johnson from University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
Larry Johnson from UNLV.
Entering his professional career, he was a beast on the court. Simply playing against him made some other players quite nervous. Looking at his basketball journey, you could say it was a perfect career. But his financial journey, on the other hand, is nothing to write home about. The more money he had, the bigger his thirst for lavish items grew. Soon he gained quite a reputation for flaunting flashy jewelry. Despite the distractions of his lavish lifestyle, he was still putting in the work on the court. It's no secret that child support in America is quite a rugged system that favors those with children, and it's fully dependent on how much you make, as it's a percentage of your income. Imagine how bad this was for Larry Johnson, given that he had 5 children and had to pay child support to 4 different women. When you add this huge financial obligation to his extravagant spending, you can see the reason for his financial downfall. Later, in 2015, Larry filed for bankruptcy and claimed to owe over $120,000 in child support. His fall from grace, from leaving the gutters to making his way back there, is something we should all learn from. His story should also serve as a lesson to others, helping them understand the benefits of proper financial management. His story is one of the worst scenarios illustrating how relationships can drain your wealth. Jason fell into the temptations of lust, and now he has 10 children with 8 different mothers. That number is alarming, right? You can't possibly imagine how much child support he pays each month. He might barely have any of his salary left for himself to spend. Despite making millions during his NBA career, the relationships he got into and the financial obligations that followed eventually put him into debt. By around 2007, he filed for bankruptcy because it became so difficult for him to keep up with the child support payments. Let's be honest though, he got himself into this situation. Paying child support for 10 different children left him with no other possible outcome. It's simply not feasible for someone who earns millions with little or no investment to keep up with such demanding payments. In the end, Jason's story serves as a cautionary tale about the financial pitfalls that can arise from personal choices and relationships. The cause of his money problems wasn't from the women he slept with. It was the woman he trusted the most who did him wrong, and how she did it was truly despicable. Like most of the basketball players we have discussed today, Dennis also rose to fame and glory from his high school days. Looking at young Dennis, you would understand he was truly talented. Yes, he was talented, but he also had the perfect work ethic to back that talent.
Horn to Vinny. Behind the back to Rodman for the dunk. That'll bring the house down.
Which set him apart from the flock. He played his college career for Southeastern Oklahoma University, and it was quite successful. He was then selected by the Detroit Pistons in the second round of the 1986 NBA draft. Immediately after joining the Pistons, the spotlight began to shine brightly on him.
Ewing over and rejected by Dennis Rodman.
He grew and developed in the sport, making a name for himself with his tight defensive ability and unmatched rebounding skills. Soon he became one of the cornerstones of the team's success. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Dennis played a significant role in the Pistons' back-to-back championships in 1989 and 1990. As we all know, being a successful basketball player attracts brand endorsement deals. My scope wasn't limited to just the NBA. He gained so much popularity that even the entertainment industry wanted a piece of him. He made appearances in movies, TV shows, and the like.
They haven't released any reason.
Listen.
Let me do it. I would love to speak on this.
Go ahead.
You know, you got 10 guys here. 10 guys here that have left their families, left their damn families to help this country as a sports venture. Got 10 guys, all these guys here. Do anyone understand that?
We do, and we appreciate that, and we wish them well with cultural exchange.
No. I'm just saying, no, I don't give a I don't give a rat's ass what the hell you think. I'm saying to you, look at these guys here. Look at them.
Yeah, but Dennis, don't put it on them. Don't use them as an excuse for the behavior that you're putting on yourself.
Not long after, he created his own merchandise, and saying it was successful would be an understatement. It was in very high demand and highly sought after. So Dennis didn't only make his fortune from basketball, he had his hands in many other profitable ventures. He rose from the grassroots and finally became one of the highest paid athletes of his time, making so much money that one wouldn't expect to run out. Not only did Dennis know how to make money, but he also knew how to enjoy it. One thing he didn't realize was that his fortune was slowly slipping away from him. His financial advisor, Peggy Ann Fulford, was busy siphoning his wealth. She was truly deceptive. She posed as a Harvard-educated financial advisor and was able to gain not only his trust, but the trust of many other athletes as well. Fulford had a well-thought-out scheme. She often put her clients' funds into 2 bank accounts, one for standard expenses and the other for investments. She was quite intelligent. By simply using the power of attorney, she could control their finances anytime and anywhere. Instead of actually doing her job by helping him secure his wealth, she exploited her position and diverted his funds for her personal gain. Every time Dennis tried to understand why his finances were plummeting, she just blamed it on his extravagant lifestyle. She often even suggested he couldn't be trusted with his own accounts and his own money. Crazy, right? So not only was she a supposed financial expert, but she was also an expert manipulator. She used her deceitful and manipulative alternative methods to continue siphoning money from Dennis and many other athletes. After some time, Dennis finally uncovered her elaborate scheme. It was then discovered that she managed numerous bank accounts using shell corporations. She definitely knew how to launder money and cover her tracks. Eventually, in 2016, she was arrested, sentenced to 20 years in prison, and ordered to pay restitution to her victims. Delante West is a gifted basketball player, but he seems to be losing control of his life, with the major reason being his personal relationships. Unlike most on this list, West had a brief career. However, in the little time he spent in the NBA, he was able to make a meaningful impact and earn millions. Unfortunately, how he lost those millions is quite disappointing. One of the reasons he lost his wealth was due to a damaged relationship that took almost everything he had, leaving him broke. The emotional and financial stress from his relationships exacerbated his own challenges, and eventually, he developed a mental health problem. At one point in his career, he became involved in a chaotic relationship that severely impacted him.
I will be the reason my team wins today. I will pass my test. I will be the reason I can do this. I will do this. All those type of things are called self-affirmation.
And on the line tonight for Marion after a couple of games. Low numbers stats-wise. Deflection out to the corner to beat the buzzer. The three streak will continue in grand fashion.
After his NBA career came to an end, he found himself trapped like many former players. He engaged in lavish spending and participated in various activities that ultimately led to the complete depletion of his wealth. What's truly unbelievable is that West has been reported to be seen living on the streets. His life completely went off course, putting him back in the slums. Delante West's story serves as a stark reminder of how personal struggles and poor choices can lead to a dramatic fall from grace, even for those who once had it all. Over the past few years, the Kardashians have often been the butt of multiple jokes, but for the first time in a long while, they were not in the wrong here. Lamar was the author of his own downfall.
How many times you get caught cheating? By Chloe.
Two.
That's not bad. She seems like a forgiving person.
She is.
This was because he put himself in places he shouldn't have been and eventually wiped out his entire basketball fortune, returning him to the roots from which he came. The only difference now was that he was a little more popular. His childhood was by no means easy. He faced situations that even grown-ups couldn't deal with. He was born and raised in a struggling environment by his mother, who passed away when he was still quite young. To put some icing on the cake, his father was never around, battling serious addiction. His path to success was far harder than most we have mentioned on this list. His incredible talent and determination to leave the slums helped him rise to the very top of the NBA. Imagine, he went from someone who had only basketball to someone who made a lump sum of money yearly. This painted the picture that his wealth was somewhat limitless. However, Odom actually spent his income as if it were nothing. He indulged himself in a luxury lifestyle, buying expensive cars, jewelry, and houses. Soon, his path was linked to the Kardashians. It's no secret that the Kardashians are a rich, extravagant family, so he felt the need to increase his spending to fit in. Unfortunately, his association with the Kardashians did him far more harm than good. Slowly, he became a regular at high-profile events and parties, and it's public knowledge that these events aren't hosted for free. They come at a very high cost. Though in front of the camera, Odom seemed like he was living his best life, married to Khloe Kardashian. That was far from the case behind the scenes. The extravagant lifestyle was something his bank account couldn't sustain, and slowly his wealth began plummeting. Debt soon began to pile up. Who could have ever imagined that what seemed like an endless stream of income would eventually burn out and be wasted? His marriage to Khloe Kardashian alone was draining, and adding that to his need for luxury was just a recipe for disaster. Being married to such a popular individual was not easy, with media pressure fueling Odom's need for excessive spending. Not long after, rumors of Odom's infidelity began to spread, along with news of his extramarital affairs.
Like, what could I actually tell Chloe to leave her for a couple of hours to even leave to go do drugs with some random woman? Where the woman, I'm going so heavy with the drugs, the woman actually gets into my phone and actually calls Chloe oh, we gotta come get them. He's going crazy. He's gonna kill himself, huh?
The strain of Odom's infidelity took a toll on the marriage, and eventually they filed for divorce in 2016. The emotional trauma of the divorce, combined with Odom's ongoing battle with addiction, pushed him toward a dark place. Eventually, all these terrible events piled up together: the struggle with addiction, the divorce, and other activities. He soon became completely broke and was now in debt due to the need to maintain his lavish lifestyle. Odom went from someone who spent without a care in the world to someone who now filed for bankruptcy. What a fall from grace. There was even a time he admitted that Kobe had to bail him out of a six-figure gambling debt. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to check out the next one shown on screen.
Guys in the league can do that. And now Odom and O'Neal shoving each other. Odom to Gasol, yes, and a count. Odom off the dribble. It counts.